You're listening to Bold Hearts, Big Moves, the show for female entrepreneurs who want it all: a thriving business, deep self love, and fulfilling relationships. I'm Erin Anderson, and each week we will dive into how to set stronger boundaries, make empowered choices, and show up in life and business with boldness, authenticity, and heart. Because let's be real, the money you make is directly related to the love that you have for yourself and the strength of your relationships. So if you're ready to lead with love and make those big moves with those bold hearts, let's dive in.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Bold Hearts, Big Moves. This is the podcast for the female entrepreneur who wants it all and is ready to set the boundaries to protect it. So let me say this. Today we're talking about how boundaries can actually be like the blueprint for your breakthrough. Now, whether that is a goal in your business, a goal in your personal life, whatever it is, I know that oftentimes I have felt like I have needed some type of a blueprint for a breakthrough, because I've just felt stuck in some way. And that's something we've all dealt with, right? So if we actually had a blueprint to get out of that stuckness, how nice would that be? Sometimes, you might have been told or felt like you're too much, too emotional, too direct, too sensitive, too boundaried, too stiff, etc., and too mean. I hear that one a lot, like boundaries are too mean. I want to just tell you with all the love I have to give you what you've been told about you being too much is actually the very thing that's going to lead you to your breakthrough. Because boundaries aren't barriers. They are literally the blueprint, the pathway, the map to your success. They lead you to where you want to go. They are the road. And once you put your tires on that road and you follow it, you are going to get to your destination. But if you're going to be weaving all over the place because somebody tells you, oh, you have to go this way to make me happy, or you have to go this way to make me happy, not only do you add possibly days to your journey or hours or months or years, it takes you a lot longer to get to where you say you want to go, right? But sometimes you don't get there at all. And so a boundary is literally the road that you define, that you stay on to keep you heading towards your course. They are literally the blueprint from where you're at now to where you want to be. So today I'm going to walk with you through the heart, the resistance, and the power behind your boundaries, and why the breakthrough you've been praying for might be waiting on the one you're afraid to hold, to be honest with you. So let me give you an example of a time in my own personal business where I really needed to set a boundary with a client, but I really wrestled with it. And I wondered if I was being too mean, too much. I wondered if she'd still love me, if she'd still like me, and if she'd still work with me. And I will tell you, because my boundaries were not clear, the answer was no to all of those questions. Now, I still love this person dearly, but our working relationship did kind of end really, really badly. And the reason being was because this person decided they no longer wanted to pay me, even though I had given them so much service and so much success and helped them for such a long time. My boundaries around money were not super great, back then. And unfortunately, not only, and I'll be honest, it was because of fear. I was worried that people wouldn't work with me otherwise. I didn't have enough faith in what I offered to my clients in helping them with these breakthroughs. And so my money boundary wasn't solid. And so she pushed that money boundary, stopped paying me, and ended up ghosting me. And because my boundaries weren't solid, I couldn't do anything about it. Because my boundaries weren't clear, I couldn't do anything about it. And I was out actually thousands of dollars with this client because she just decided to stop paying me. And, it was a hard lesson for me to learn. And I'll be honest, I've still learned some really hard lessons. But one of the things I've learned from this, there is no shame in supporting your family with what you do. There is no shame in going on a vacation with your family because of what you do. There is no shame in earning money in a way that makes somebody else's life so much better and going out and getting the car you want. There's no shame in this. But I was literally up against those beliefs, thinking that if I asked for any monetary value back, it was too much. And it did. It cost me my client. It cost me thousands of dollars. And it actually cost me probably more than her not just paying me, because I ended up having to go into debt to pay for some things for my family that money would have paid for otherwise. And so it actually cost me double not having that boundary. But what's happened since I started holding way better money boundaries, is I've signed clients that have paid me 10 times what that first client had paid, or the previous client, I should say. She wasn't my first one, but the previous client had paid me. I have found clients that are eager and willing and happy to pay me for what I do for them. They can't say enough good things about the way I help them. They don't mind paying me that fee at all. And even though I'm not working with some of these clients anymore, the relationship is still fruitful. I still get to talk with them. I still get to hear them and their continued success. They stay in touch. And that is beautiful to me. And they recommend me to their friends. And they say, you know what, you actually ought to talk to Erin if you're wanting help with your business and your boundaries. Okay? So I'll tell you that, when I lost that client, it didn't feel good at first, but it ended up being a good lesson for me. And sometimes one of the major lessons I've learned from that is that sometimes God's blessings and goodness really come disguised as discomfort. But if we're open to listening to that discomfort and the struggle behind, and that struggle, I should say, and how we feel about the struggle, oftentimes we will find something far more worth, far more worth than what we had before. Because yes, even though I had lost a lot of money in that transaction plus that relationship, the knowledge I gained gave me back way more than I ever lost. So why is it? Why is it that women, especially God-loving Christian women, resist boundaries? And I will say that the enemy isn't scared of your good heart. He's actually scared of your good boundaries. He's scared of your integrity, because if you think about what he does, the first thing he attacks is your self-worth. That's what he did with Christ. When he was tempting Christ, um, he tempted him with his identity, with his self-worth, to be less than, to be quiet, to sit down, because he wasn't scared of Christ's good heart. He was scared of him actually acting on his good heart. He was scared of his actions more than he was anything else. And so when we live in integrity, that with ourselves and with God too, like literally self-love is aligning with God. It is the most humble thing we can possibly have, because we acknowledge our faults, but we also acknowledge our greatness and choose to live out of the greatness and fix the faults. What is prideful about that? And it makes sense then that the adversary actually would be scared of our integrity and our boundaries. So, some common beliefs that you guys might have. If I love them, I'll let it go. Right? If I truly love this client, or if I love this family member, I won't say anything. I'll just take it on the chin. I should give them grace. It's not that big of a deal. But the truth of the matter is, grace doesn't erase responsibility. And if we don't hold someone to truth, and the simple fact that they said that they were going to do this thing, we are in a sense communicating to them that they're weak. And I'm not willing to do that. I'm pretty sure you're not either. We don't want to erase their responsibility. We do want to communicate with them and work with them. Absolutely. But we want to keep integrity on the line, like not on the line, but in the forefront. Jesus set boundaries constantly, all the time. He never acted out of alignment with who he was, with the crowds, with the Pharisees, even with his own disciples, even with the people he loved the most. Think about when he looked at Peter and said, "Get behind me, Satan," simply because Peter was trying to encourage Christ to rest. Jesus refused to act out of alignment with who he was in any way. He trusted himself to know when he needed rest and to give himself what he needed. He trusted himself. Boundaries don't cancel compassion, they protect it. Because remember that when we listen to our emotions and we go deep with our emotions, we usually arrive at self-compassion. And from self-compassion can hear the boundary. And the boundary, we know it's a good one if it quiets the emotion. Okay? So boundaries are a lot like garden fences. They don't stop things from growing. They keep what's meant to grow protected. And they keep the beauty that you have cultivated inside your care. Boundaries are a whole lot like a mirror. They reveal what you truly believe about yourself. Do you believe that you deserve to be spoken to with kindness, without guilt, to be paid without apology, and to be paid what you ask? The boundaries you're scared to set often point to the beliefs you're scared to claim. Straight up. Thinking back to my client, I was afraid to set a money boundary because I didn't think I'd get clients otherwise. I felt I had to give a lot of free work or be really lax with my money boundaries because I was afraid people would leave. And some did. But they opened the door for people who wouldn't. And literally, if we kind of go into this, what we think is a storm, we find often that blueprint for that breakthrough. So boundaries are an invitation. They don't just protect you, they invite the right people in. And when you set a loving, clear boundary, you communicate, this is who I am, this is who I'm going to live by, this is my integrity, meet me. This is how I work best, this is how I function the best, this is how it benefits you. And this is how I love without losing who I am and my core. Because my best clients, my amazing clients, the ones that I love and that have referred me to other people, they don't run from my boundaries. As a matter of fact, they benefit from them and they run toward them because they learned how to set boundaries because I was boundaries. They were craving clarity too. Boundaries are a specific multiplier. One of my massive breakthroughs that came after I set a money boundary was how I'd actually been doing, like I said, a massive disservice to my family. I had been lax with my boundaries, and I would say, hey, it's not a problem. I can tell that you need my help. Let's just get started. We'll figure out the payment stuff later. And oftentimes those clients didn't pay me. And it ended up putting me in kind of a financial problem place. And I got thinking about it, and I'm like, hold on. Would these people walk into Home Depot if they say they needed a toilet or flooring or something and say, hey, I really, really, really need this? Mine is totally broken, so I'm just going to take it. What would Home Depot do, right? Or Lowe's? What if their car was on their last leg and the engine exploded? Would they walk into a dealership and say, hey, I really, really need this car, so I'm just going to take the keys and I'm going to drive it away? And I realized that I was actually letting people live out of integrity with themselves. People actually do want to pay for goods and services. And it's okay to pay for goods and services. It's okay to pay for our life. And it's also okay to ask for that money if we are doing someone a huge service, okay? Boundaries really, they don't repel breakthrough. They really clear the space for it, right? And once I started understanding, how I wasn't holding a boundary and I started holding a boundary there, it invited, clients that paid way more, the ability to support my family and my lifestyle, and kind of stay out of debt, which was really nice, to be honest with you. So if you're wanting to find your breakthrough, I'm going to ask you some questions. What are you is there something that you are tolerating that's draining your purpose, that's draining who you are? Does something feel draining to you? This is an area you want to get clarity on. This is a place that you want to lean into. Where are you shrinking in order to get likes or approval? So that way somebody doesn't get mad at you or quote unquote rock the boat. This is also another area you might want to check for clarity in and see if you can't find a blueprint in there, how this boundary is not working for you or is leaky. What would change if you trusted yourself enough to hold the boundary without an explanation? What would change? You don't have to say, sorry, but I can't. You can say, that doesn't work for me. And even just a no, thank you. That's enough. That's enough. You don't have to explain more than that. Just a simple no. Doesn't work for me. Okay? So, I would invite you guys to, if you're going to decide to lean into finding out who you are, leaning into this person, I'm going to invite you to ask, God, where am I afraid to hold the line that you asked me to hold? Show me my fear, and how can I break through? And remember that the unbreakable boundary is still is available. And we walk through this process step by step in the unbreakable boundary. It's not just about being tough, it's about being truthful and living in love and truth. And it's about building a business and a life aligned with peace, precision, provision. And this is what we teach there. Releasing guilt and people pleasing, stopping that, creating boundaries that attract better clients and better, clearer relationships that really actually do want to support you, that don't devalue what you do. And know the difference between a Holy Spirit yes and a trauma triggered yes. That's kind of a big deal. So it isn't about being rigid, it's about being rooted. And if no one has ever told you that you're not too much, let me be the first person to say that to you, because you're not wrong for wanting abundance, clarity, peace, support, to be heard, to be seen, and valued. And the very boundary you probably are scared to set just might be the doorway to your next breakthrough. So, if you loved today's episode, like I said, head over to the Unbreakable Boundary. The link is in the description. And we're building boundaries that aren't walls. They're wombs. They are literally the thing that is ready to birth the next season of support, safety, clarity, and peace. All right, my loves. Until next time, I'll see you next week. Bye.
All right, Boundary Boss babes. I'm super excited that you tuned in with me today. Make sure you tune in again next week as we chat about more Boundary Boss babe topics. We're going to get into so many other things about how to set boundaries with your business, how to set boundaries with your relationships, so you can truly have the time, the money, and the flexibility that you are seeking. So tune in next week. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast. Let your other boss babe friends know about it. And also, if you've got any questions, make sure you submit them into the podcast by clicking on the send us a text message at the bottom of the podcast description. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. See you later, boss babes.